what's going on at the Geneva Lakefront Childcare Center?
The two biggest things that have happened recently is that we hired a new executive director, Alana. We're very excited to have join us. Additionally, the board of directors approved a wage increase that started in January for staff. Wages are going up anyways because of minimum wage. Childcare has historically had, unfortunately, it's a very important job taking care of the littles, you know, people's beloved children, but it's an underpaid profession. So people are really doing it because they love it and because they love kids. But, this is for every industry, it's very competitive for hiring people. So it just made the general situation of childcare being underpaid and less competitive in comparison to other jobs. The current labor shortage has made that a bigger challenge. So the experience that we're having is not unique in childcare, but it has definitely been retaining and recruiting staff has been an issue. So minimum wage has gone up. So, like everyone was getting a pay bump at the start of January, but we wanted to, reward the staff that are already with us and also to be more competitive in recruiting staff. So we did raise, generally everyone's wages are at least $1 above minimum wage for folks who've been at the center for longer, or for folks that have a leadership role that's different than just being a regular teacher. Their pay might be higher, but that's something the board did because we want to make sure that we have enough staff, because we can't operate at full capacity and fill all the slots that we have available in terms of the capacity of the building unless we have the staff. There's government regulations. We have to have a certain ratio between teachers in the classroom in order to be in compliance with our regulations from the Office of Children and Family Services. So that's why we raise our wages. And do you want to add on to that, Alana?
Yeah, so that's where I come in. My passion is not only just working with children, but also educating adults in this field. So hiring and training the staff so that we have the staff that is, one, qualified, but also who are passionate and teachable to run the daycare center, so that our littles are safe and that people do feel safe with their children coming here. So that's what I've been focused on, is making sure that we get the staff in here that is well qualified, but also passionate. And if they're not qualified right off the bat, then making sure that they have all the support that they need to get qualified and be supported by me.
So now, what qualifications do you need to have? I mean, can you just have do you just need like a bachelor's degree, but do you have to have something in childcare? What if you just like kids and you want to work with kids and you have a degree in something else, How does it work?
Yeah, so through our regulators, there are guidelines. Specifically for lead teachers, you need to have some sort of degree in early childhood education, whether that be a couple of college courses that are approved by OCFS. If you have a bachelor's degree, great, then then you don't need anything extra approved by OCFS. You can have a CDA, which is also, it's a credential where take training courses for 5 months, and there's an evaluation to make sure that you retain the information that they have taught you throughout the course, and then you have to renew that, I believe, once or twice a year, to be a lead teacher. To be an assistant, you don't need a big credential. You just need to be a high school grad, but prefer to have some college on your belt if you need. But ideally, the assistants would learn from the lead teachers, and then in our case, we do have some people who may not have their college degree or anything like that, but they've been here for 15 plus years. Through OCFS, there is somewhat of a loophole where as long as it is approved by OCFS regional manager, then they are able to start a CDA program and become a lead teacher based off of their experience through the organization.
The Geneva Lakefront Childcare Center, how many children can you accept?
I believe over 100 students. Right now, we try to keep two staff in each room, and the ratio in each room is pretty different. With infants, it's 1 to 3 or 4. With toddlers, it's 1 to 5. Preschool, pre-K is 1 to 8, and school age is 1 to 10. So we definitely need to be staffed in order to house the need of the community. So I believe it's over 100. I'm not sure on the exact number.
It's challenging for parents to find daycares, right? Childcares. Why is that?
It's the lack of supply for people to find childcare, and it's only been exacerbated. There's a nonprofit based in Rochester called the Children's Agenda. So as I was preparing the press release, I did some research about what's the current status. And Ontario County was not unique, but because of COVID, some daycare shut down. So the supply of childcare slots in Ontario County has decreased, and that's a story for throughout New York State. So that might be something you might want to look at in your reporting. And so that so it's we've got 2 shortages. We've got shortages of people to work, and so this isn't something where automation solves the problem. We don't, it's a very human intensive. It's our biggest expenditure is the people that we hire, to care for and to be caring with children. And so I definitely feel as a board member for this center, I feel a deep responsibility to the community about making sure that we have as many children enrolled, but we're not full capacity because of the staffing challenges. So there's a lack of childcare slots. It's gotten worse because of the pandemic, and we know we're part of the problem because we're not full capacity because we're not able to hire all of the staff that we need to hire to be able to have that full capacity, and to have every slot filled. We have people on the waiting list, and this was before the pandemic, but my own son went to Lakefront Center until he started kindergarten this year, and there wasn't a slot available for him as an infant. So he didn't enroll until he was able to be in the next one, which is called Wobblers, and he was 11 months old. So I wasn't able to get into the center. I was on a waiting list. I remember that feeling of just helping together care for the first year of his life and being stressed out about it. So I it's not I haven't forgotten the struggle, and I'm very much being in this role, trying to help the families that are still on the waiting list that are struggling to get care, because I've been there. And, that's part of the reason why we raised the wages we're hoping that besides having an awesome culture, and I think that culture is only going to get, is going to be deepened, with Alana coming on board as our new executive director. But we also know that it comes down to, people can have their choice. And so we know that. And so that's why we also have our wages competitive with other options we'll have.
Do you pay more than minimum wage?
Yes.
Generally.
Yep. The only people who wouldn't make minimum wage are if they haven't had, or who would only make minimum wage, and we try to go up at least 50 cents above that if we can. Our young people who don't have any experience at all but have a passion for the work and start at very entry level positions such as floater, newly named program assistants. So just positions like that are part-time, but as of right now, even the floaters make more than minimum.
And we raised every person's. I think there was one person who, because of their Social Security benefits didn't want to have a raise. Like, that was actually a voluntary choice on their part, because they didn't want to jeopardize their benefits since it's a part-time job. But everyone else had their wages raised in January. And, people who start with us would be generally, unless there was an exception, like I was like being very, very new to the field. Like, the idea is that we want to be competitive because childcare has its stresses. The kids aren't always easy, and so we know that like people might think that it's easier to go work in retail, or work in the service industry, and so that's why like we want people to want to come work for us. That they're being compensated, above the market rate, and also that they know that we're a really good place to work. We do provide paid time off, which I don't know if every childcare center does, but that's something I think is also attractive. So, anyways, we just we want people to know that we're a great place to work, but also like besides like a good workplace culture, and they're going to be treated fairly and and warmly, that you'll also be paid better than what the childcare industry has historically offered.
And what else were some of the things that were on the release?
Alana, do you want to talk about, one thing that I was excited about hiring Alana is that she's born and bred in Geneva. Alana, do you want to talk a little bit about your background? You've worked, you've worked in childcare in Geneva. You've like gone to every school in Geneva.
Yeah.
So a little bit.
Of course, I got that. Well, born and raised Geneva, New York. I graduated from Geneva High in 2010. I graduated from Hobart and William Smith colleges in 2014. I worked at the local after-school program, Boys and Girls Club, right out of college because I just felt like I needed to. I did my AmeriCorps program through there, and I kind of worked my way up through that program, from recreation coordinator to site supervisor, and then assistant executive director. In that time, I did move away. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club out in Seattle, Washington, for a year, and then I also worked at a YMCA, which was housed in one of the local schools out in Seattle as well. And moved back home, was offered the assistant executive director position at the center. And really my passion lies with the community and working with the youth in Geneva. I like to be the change I wish to see in the world. So being the role model that I didn't have when I was a kid. So that is what kind of rooted my passion for working with youth in general. And then as I grew up, I realized that the support is that the youth weren't the only ones who needed support. Children from 0 to 12 also needed support, but also adults who love working in this field need support as well. I saw many ways in which I wish I had a director like myself, someone who would listen and feels where I could feel supported, and I wanted to be that for employees, because learning doesn't stop. Learning doesn't stop after you graduate or after you complete a course. It's continual. So remembering that adults are not perfect, and as long as you're teachable, I'm here to teach. And I came across this job because I felt like it was something that I can excel in, but it also gave me that bit of a healthy challenge, because I'd never been an executive before. I have managed a facility before, but I'd never been the executive. So I felt like it came with challenges that I didn't face before. And I'm excited to overcome those challenges, learn from the employees here. Everyone has been very welcoming. So I'm just overall ecstatic and excited to even be able to share my expertise, but also learn from those in this organization.
Wonderful. And I guess, is there anything else that you think people should know about your organization that they don't? Anything else that you'd like to add? Anything that I maybe should have asked you that I didn't?
We have programming like Taekwondo, for the older kids. We've got playgrounds. We have a project in the works to have an infant playground. We've got materials ordered. So that's one thing. It's not just like, the building that people drive by. There's like fun opportunities. Alana has also started having once a month having a it's the first Friday of the month, right?
The last Friday of the month, family fun nights, where they're little fundraisers. We open them up to the community. While it still gets dark pretty early, we've been doing movie nights, and the kids can come listen. We usually play a musical that the kids are familiar with, that they can sing and dance to. We had our first one in January, and it was a blast. The kids were off the walls, but they loved it. So we try to do. We're working on doing those every month, but we also combine that with our moving up day. So as the kids get older, they'll move up to the next stage in the program. So like our Waddlers, once they turn 18 months, they'll move up to toddlers and growth and development, and also give parent advocate to, hang up on the wall and be proud of, and experience them early on, before they, graduate from high school or college and so on.
Awesome. Anything else?
We are looking for new volunteers for our board of directors. So we're always looking for new energy. In the history of the daycare center, like for example, the city of Geneva, in our regulations, we have to appoint a member. So like a city employee is always a member. But we're always looking for new ideas, and childcare is just in a challenging spot right now because of the labor market, and the fact that there's fewer providers. And so, this is one of those situations people want to like dig in and volunteer and like work on, and have, brainstorms and have ideas. Like, anyways, we're always looking for folks who might want to join us. And I will, after the interview, I'll send you the press release that has like all of the things we talked about. And it has information about from the children's agenda, like some of the kind of like the statistics I thought were very illuminating. I read every single article I see about childcare issues, and I know it's not just here in the Finger Lakes, but is a national issue. But definitely like we're living it and trying to problem solve our way out of it.
Yeah. Can you also send me the link to where your hiring page is if you are looking for people, that I could say if anybody wants to apply, they can apply here?
Yeah.
Yes. It's up on Indeed. I will email you the link.
Yes.
To our Indeed specifically. Yes.
That would be perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking interest in our little center. We appreciate it.